I was just 16 when I stayed home alone for the first time. My parents had gone out of town for a week. We lived in a quiet, peaceful town, friendly neighbors, clean streets, and a little local market where everyone knew everyone. It was the kind of place where people didn't lock their doors until late at night. That's probably why my parents thought it was safe to leave me on my own. I still live in the same house today, but the night I'm about to tell you about, it changed everything. It was a weekend. My older sister was out of town for some reason, and my parents had to attend a late event. They figured I was old enough to manage. Before leaving, they gave me some money for dinner. I was overjoyed. Home alone, video games, and pizza. I played James Bond, Nightfire for hours. Then I ordered a pizza from a nearby place called Johnny's. When the doorbell rang, I rushed downstairs with a $20 bill. The delivery guy looked about 30. Scruffy beard, thick glasses, and a black trucker cap. Something about him made me uneasy. When I handed him the money and asked for change, he looked directly at me and asked, "Are you home alone?" My heart skipped a beat. My mom had always told me never to trust strangers. I quickly lied. "No, my parents are about to get home." I shut the door fast. My heart was racing, but I tried to shake it off. I ate my pizza and started playing another game, Agent Under Fire, trying to enjoy the night. Hours passed. It was around 11 p.m. when the doorbell rang again. I called out, "Mom? Dad?" But a voice from outside responded, "I need help. Can I use your phone?" My blood turned cold. I asked, "Who are you?" The man repeated the same line. He needed help. I didn't even dare look through the window. I just ran upstairs, my heart pounding. As I reached the top of the stairs, I heard a loud bang on the door, followed by yelling, "Wait! I just need help." I realized he had seen me. I bolted into my parents' bedroom and called my mom. When she heard what I said, her voice immediately changed. She asked me, "Did anyone know you were home alone?" I told her about the pizza guy. Just then the doorbell rang again. I was terrified. My mom told me, "Stay in the room, lock the door, turn off the lights." A few seconds later, I heard the backyard gate open. I whispered into the phone, "He's in the backyard now." My mom kept repeating, "Stay silent. The police are on their way." Then, I heard footsteps inside the house. "He was in." I shouted, "He's inside the house!" My mom screamed back, "Get under the bed, now!" I dove under the bed, shaking. I heard the creaking sound of footsteps climbing the stairs. He was checking all the rooms, first my sister's, then mine. Finally, he stood in front of my parents' bedroom door. He tried the handle, locked. He stood there for a while, silent. Then I heard footsteps going back downstairs. I was gasping for air, barely able to keep still. A few minutes later, I heard voices, loud, firm. "Police! If anyone's inside, come out with your hands up." My mom told me to open the door. I did. 2 officers were at the door, 2 more downstairs. They told me the back door had been unlocked and the window open. That's how he got in. I told them everything, about the pizza guy, about the strange question, about the knocking. The next day, my parents took me to Gianni's Pizza to identify the man, but I didn't see him there. The manager told us it might have been someone named Phil, but Phil denied everything. My parents argued with the manager, but we eventually left. We never saw Phil again, and we never ordered from Gianni's again. I'm still convinced it was him, because how else could a stranger know that I was home alone that night? The following few nights, I barely slept. Every sound made my skin crawl. A creaking floorboard, the wind brushing the window pane. I jumped at every little noise. My parents didn't sleep much either. We were all different after that night. Something in our house had shifted. The warmth it once had was now replaced by tension and unease. One night, I was lying in bed when I saw the curtain move. Just slightly. I screamed for my mom. She came rushing in, but when she looked outside, there was nothing. "It's just your imagination," she said gently. But I knew it wasn't. The next day, the police called. Apparently, there had been 3 recent incidents in our area. Young kids home alone, strangers seen lurking near their homes, ringing doorbells and asking to come inside. That was the final straw. Within 2 weeks, we packed up and moved to a different town. New house, new school, new streets. But the fear moved with me. The nightmares started soon after. In my dreams, the man from that night, same cap, same beard, would walk silently into my room. I'd be paralyzed, unable to scream. He'd come closer and closer until I woke up drenched in sweat, heart pounding. A few months later, my dad had to visit our old town for a work errand. When he returned, his face was pale. He told us Gianni's Pizza had shut down. Apparently, one of their employees had been accused of following kids lurking near houses. But before he could be questioned, he disappeared, just like that. That's when it hit me. It was him. Whether he was mentally unstable or something worse, I'll never know. But I do know this. If the door hadn't been locked that night, or if I had gone downstairs instead of hiding, I don't think I'd be alive today. It's been 5 years, but that night still lives inside my head, perfectly clear, as if it happened yesterday. Sometimes late at night, I lie in bed and wonder, what if he comes back one day? And this time, I do open the door. It was around 1 a.m., and I was sitting in my rooftop room, trying to study for exams. Books were open in front of me, but my mind was elsewhere. A restless feeling lingered in my chest, and the silence outside made me even more uneasy. Suddenly, I heard a knock-knock sound coming from the direction of the front door. At first, I thought it might be the wind or some animal, but when the sound repeated, my heart skipped a beat. I slowly got up and looked out the window. Outside was pitch dark, no streetlights, no movement. Everyone in the neighborhood was asleep. I peered through the glass but saw nothing. Then again, a loud knock on the door. This time the sound was clearer and more urgent. My breath caught in my throat. My heart pounded loudly. I moved toward the door and nervously asked, "Who's there?" No answer. Only a cold breeze slipped under the door, as if someone was standing right outside. I placed my hand gently on the door. It was locked from inside. I wondered, who could be out here so late, and why aren't they answering? I was scared but tried to stay calm and reached for my phone to call my mother, hoping her voice would calm me down. Suddenly, another knock came, but this time it was different. A faint whisper, as if someone was calling my name. Goosebumps covered me. I switched off my phone screen and stepped away from the door. I grabbed a flashlight and slowly approached the door again. When I shined the light on it, I saw a blurry shadow, a figure with no face, just a dark, misty silhouette. I screamed and jumped back. Suddenly, the door creaked open on its own, and a cold gust of air brushed past me. I ran outside and woke a few neighbors, but when we checked the door, no one was there. For many nights after that, the shadow appeared in my dreams, whispering into my ears and reminding me of the night it stood outside my door. The next day, I told some elders in the neighborhood about what had happened. They listened carefully. Mr. Khan, the oldest and wisest man in our street, said, "Son, this is an old story. For many years, people have said a ghost haunts this house." I laughed and asked, "A ghost? How?" He said, "This place was never truly owned by anyone. Whoever comes here ends up disturbed after a few days. You never see the ghost outside the door, but you hear the whispers." Strangely, I wasn't the only one who experienced this. Several people had reported seeing blurry shadows or feeling an unseen presence near the door at night. The elders advised me to cleanse the house and call a spiritual healer or reciter to pray for the spirit to leave. I laughed at first, but then thought, if so many people believe it, maybe there's truth to it. That night, I sat in my room again, the stories and warnings spinning in my head. Fear was heavy, but so was curiosity. I had to see for myself what was really outside that door. I took my phone and flashlight and slowly went down the stairs. When I reached the door, the flashlight showed no one around. Suddenly, the knocking began again. My heart raced. I looked toward the bottom of the door, where a faint light glowed as if something was trying to hide in the darkness. I took a deep breath and tried to open the door, but it was locked. Suddenly, a soft but terrifying whisper came from the door. "You have met me. Now you will never find peace." My hands trembled. I tried to run back, but the door slammed shut on its own. I was trapped inside. At that moment, my phone's flashlight turned on by itself. Behind the door, a shadow moved. Not human, but a blurry, shapeless entity with glowing red eyes. I screamed and pounded on the door until it finally opened. I ran outside. I called our neighborhood spiritual healer. He arrived quickly and began reciting holy verses. The shadow vanished, and for the first time, I felt that maybe this ghost or jinn who had been tormenting me had finally gone. From that day on, I never stepped foot in that house again. Soon others in the neighborhood also started avoiding it. This incident happened when I was just 11 years old. My parents had to leave for another city due to an important family emergency, and they left me with my older brother. He was 17 at the time, and they thought he was responsible enough to look after me. It was a cold and silent winter night. My brother and I had dinner and then went to our rooms. He got busy with his phone while I turned on Cartoon Network and started watching TV. Around 10 p.m., the power went out. The entire house was swallowed in darkness. I called out, "Adam!" The lights went out. He replied, "I'll check. Maybe a fuse tripped." As he went downstairs, I noticed something outside the window. A tall man wearing a long black coat, a hat on his head, and something in his hand, like a stick or maybe a baseball bat. My heart started pounding. I quickly drew the curtains and locked the door. A few minutes later, Adam returned and said, "Someone was out there. I saw someone near the gate." I was terrified. We both checked all the doors and windows. Everything was locked. Adam said, "Maybe it's just some drug addict. Don't worry." We sat down and chatted for a while. But then, suddenly, the garage light turned on. "But the power's out, right?" Adam whispered. We peeked through the window and there he was again, the man in black standing near the garage door. But this time, he was holding something else. A tool, maybe a hammer. Adam immediately called the police. They said they'd arrive in about 10 minutes. We locked ourselves in the room and tried hiding under the bed. The garage door started shaking violently. Adam pulled me into the room and kept talking on the phone. Then we heard footsteps downstairs, slow and quiet, like someone sneaking around. And then the kitchen window shattered. We both screamed. Adam told me to get under the bed. My heartbeat was about to stop. Then came a soft noise outside the door, like someone gently touching it. Click, click. The door was locked. After a few moments, the sound faded. We heard nothing after that except our own breathing. And then, the sound of sirens outside. We both rushed out of the room and ran to the police. The police checked the house. Someone had broken in through the kitchen window. The garage door was open, and a knife lay on the ground. We were told that there had been a string of break-ins in the neighborhood recently. Maybe it was the same guy. But here's where it gets strange. When the police asked the neighbors, one elderly woman said something chilling. "I saw that man in black last year too, but he never harmed anyone. He just shows up, looks into windows, and then leaves." And then she added, "I don't think he's alive. He died around this time last year." The police left after some time, but that night changed our lives forever. Adam double-checked all the locks, and I sat silently on the couch, staring at the door. My hands were still trembling, and my heart wouldn't calm down. Adam whispered, "It's okay now. He's gone." But deep inside, I felt like it wasn't over, like something still lingered, watching us. It was around 2 a.m. when, suddenly, the garage light flickered on again. We both froze. "How is that possible? The power hasn't come back yet," Adam whispered. I looked at him. The same fear I felt was written all over his face. This time we didn't peek through the window. We stayed completely silent. Then, our bedroom light turned on. Adam slowly got up and walked to the door to peek outside. "Adam, what do you see?" I asked in a hushed voice. He turned back, his face pale. He's still there, standing right outside, staring at us. Everything went dark in front of my eyes. I looked toward the door but couldn't see anything clearly. Then I noticed a shadow, tall, like something hanging under a long coat, right at the bottom glass panel of the door. Suddenly, the door began to shake softly. Click! I couldn't take it anymore. I screamed, "Leave us alone! We didn't do anything!" But there was no response. Just that shadow, standing at the door, as if waiting for us to open it. But we didn't move. Then slowly, the shadow stepped back and vanished into the darkness. Adam immediately called the police again, but when they arrived, they found nothing. The garage light had turned off. There were no marks on the door. Nothing. We stayed up the entire night. Only when the first rays of the morning sun crept in did we feel a hint of relief. When our parents returned the next day, we told them everything. A full police report was filed, but nothing ever came of it. Weeks passed. Life slowly returned to normal. But sometimes, even now, I wake up at night and stare at the door, afraid the shadow might return. And then, the most terrifying thing happened. A few days ago, I came home from school and found a note on the table. Just one line written on it. "Closing the doors doesn't stop the shadows, kid." But that wasn't the end. A few days later, we installed a new security camera above the garage. That very night, something strange showed up on the footage. Around midnight, a blurry figure appeared in front of the garage. Slowly, it walked toward the camera and stopped right in front of it. Its face wasn't clear, just a pitch-black silhouette. Then it raised one hand toward the lens, and the video ended right there. The camera had burned out. The next day, Adam gave the footage to the police, but they had no explanation. They claimed it might be a glitch, but that face, that shadow, it wasn't a glitch. Now, whenever we're home alone, even the tiniest sound makes us jump. A flicker of light, the creak of the floor, it all brings back memories of that night. It feels like he's not just a memory anymore. Maybe he's still here, watching from behind doors, playing with the lights. And maybe he's never going to leave us.